They never met. One died in 1973. The other lived on for decades. But imagine, just for a moment, that time meant nothing. Imagine that the greatest boxer who ever lived and the greatest martial artist who ever lived could finally sit down together. Not to fight, to talk. This is not a fight. There are no punches here. Only two of the most extraordinary minds of their century meeting at last. Could you have beaten me? And Bruce Lee laughs softly because he knows it is the wrong question. No, he says, that was never the point. The fight was never against you. The fight was always against the illusion of the self. And Bruce Lee is quiet for a moment. Then he says, it comes from letting go of the one thing you have never let go of, the need to win. Two masters, one conversation, and a journey through everything that truly matters. This is the meeting that never was. The champion speaks first about fear, because fear is what he conquered to become great. I was afraid once, he admits. Before every fight, terror. The lights, the crowd, the man across the ring who wanted to end me. Bruce Lee listens, and then he says something the champion does not expect. I did not fight my fear, he says. I made friends with it. Courage, says Bruce Lee, is not the absence of fear. It is total presence in spite of it. To be so alive in this moment that fear has no room to live. He tells the champion about water. Water is not afraid of the rock, he says. It does not tense, it does not fight. It simply flows around, and in time, the rock is gone. There is no shame in fear, says Bruce Lee. The shame is in letting it make your choices. Feel it fully, and then choose anyway. That is the only courage that lasts. Fear was the first wall between them and freedom, and together, they have started to take it down, one honest word at a time. The champion's face changes. Losing, he says. That word still burns. I built my whole life on being unbeatable. Bruce Lee leans forward. I know that feeling, he says. Not from the ring, from my own body when it failed me. When an injury told me I might never move again. I learned that losing is not the opposite of winning. Losing is the teacher that winning can never be. Every defeat carved something into me that victory never could. He tells the champion about the bamboo. The stiff tree breaks in the storm, he says, but the bamboo bends to the ground, and when the wind passes, it stands again, unbroken. To lose, says Bruce Lee, is to bend. And the man who knows how to bend is the man who can never truly be broken. Yes, says Bruce Lee softly, the cracks are where the light enters. Your defeats did not diminish you. They are the most human thing about you. But there is a strange twist waiting, because the champion had something Bruce Lee never got to fully taste. A long life. And Bruce Lee quietly asked him about it. They both knew fame like few humans ever have. The champion was perhaps the most famous face on earth, and he tells Bruce Lee the truth about it. Everyone knew my name, he says. Millions cheered. And in the quiet after, in the empty hotel rooms, I have never felt so alone in my life. Because fame is a mirror held up by strangers, says Bruce Lee. It shows you who they need you to be, and if you believe it, you lose the one thing that matters, yourself. Bruce Lee tells him about the cup. A cup is useful, he says, only because it is empty. Fill it with your own importance, and there is no room left for anything real. The champion laughs, but there are tears at the edges of it. All that noise, he says. All that boasting. I was trying to fill a cup that was never meant to be full. Maybe, he says, this quiet is not the enemy. Maybe this is where I should have been living all along. Because Bruce Lee was taken at 32. And the champion lived on for many decades more. And that difference is about to become the heart of everything. There is a silence. Then the champion says what they have both been circling. You did not get much time, my friend. It was taken from you so young, and Bruce Lee smiles without any bitterness at all. No, he says, I did not get many years, but I was not trying to live long. I was trying to live fully. It is not the years in your life, he says. It is the life in your years. A candle that burns twice as bright burns half as long. And I would not trade my brightness for more time. Death is not the enemy, says Bruce Lee. Wasted life is the enemy. Most people die at 25 and are not buried until 75. They stop truly living long before they stop breathing. Bruce Lee considers this. The work is never finished, he says, not for anyone. But a seed does not need to see the forest. It only needs to be planted well. I planted my seeds, says Bruce Lee, in students, in ideas, in a way of seeing the world. I do not need to see the forest they will become. I only needed to plant them truly. They have taken down every wall between themselves and freedom. All that remains is to name what freedom actually is. So the champion asks the question at the center of everything. In one idea, he says, what is it? The thing you built your whole life around. And Bruce Lee says the words that outlived him. Be water, my friend. Empty your mind, he says. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Water can flow, or it can crash. It has no fixed shape, and so nothing can break it. No, says Bruce Lee. The rigid thing shatters, the rock cracks. The mighty oak falls in the storm, but water yields and endures, and in the end, water carves the canyon. The champion nods slowly, tears of understanding in his eyes. All my strength, he says, and you have shown me that the real power was in softness all along. Not softness, says Bruce Lee smiling, formlessness, the willingness to be whatever the moment requires. That is not weakness. That is the highest strength there is. But the meeting outside of time cannot last forever, and both men can feel that the conversation is coming to its close. They stand facing each other in the warm light. Two men who never met in life, saying goodbye in a place beyond it. The difference between us, says Bruce Lee, is smaller than you think. You floated. I flowed. You stung like a bee. I moved like water. Two names, one truth. The champion extends his hand, and Bruce Lee takes it. Two of the greatest who ever lived, finally meeting, finally understanding. The champion looks around at the growing light. So this is it, he says. And Bruce Lee nods. This is it. But nothing truly ends. It only changes form, like water. The champion smiles, unafraid now of the light or of what comes next. Then I will see you again, he says, in some other form. And Bruce Lee smiles back. We were always the same, water. The goodbye was not an ending. It was a recognition that two rivers running from opposite mountains had always been flowing to the very same sea. The meeting that never was over. But the truth they shared belongs to anyone willing to hear it. So what do we take from a meeting that never happened between two men who never met? And we take the last, the truth beneath all the others. Be water, my friend. Do not resist the current of life. Flow with it, adapt to it, and you will never be broken. The champion floated like a butterfly. Bruce Lee flowed like water. And though they never truly met, they were always teaching the world the same thing. Be so fully yourself, so calm and so free, that nothing the world throws at you can ever knock you off your center. The greatest boxer who ever lived, and the greatest martial artist who ever lived, both discovered that true greatness was never about defeating others. So the next time life throws its hardest punch, remember these two men and the water they both became. Flow. Float like a butterfly. Flow like water. Two roads, one truth, and a conversation imagined across time that belongs now to you. Be water, my friend.